Hi everyone, welcome to the second week of TDEC Virtual Summer Camp. This week's activities are targeted for 3rd through 5th grade, but we encourage viewers of all ages to follow along. Today is Wildlife Wednesday, so today we're going to be learning a little bit about Tennessee's native wildlife and their habitats, all while doing a fun upcycling craft with items that you probably already have on hand. So let's get started. For today's activity, you will need to click the link provided in this post that will allow you to choose one of many different outlines of a Tennessee native animal. You can print this out to follow along, or if you don't have a printer at home, you can draw one of your own. So you will need this printout, a marker of some sort, a Sharpie works best, a glue stick. If you only have liquid glue at home, that's fine too, just be careful because it can get a little messy. Scissors, kid-friendly scissors are best, and some old magazines that you don't mind having the images or pictures cut out of. So I'm going to start by tracing over the outline of my raccoon with my Sharpie marker. The reason we're doing this is because our finished product is going to look something like this. We will have a nice cutout of a native Tennessee animal. But after you glue the images from the magazines on the front, the line can be a little bit difficult to see. So we go over it with a Sharpie so that it will bleed through and you can flip it over and cut it out from the back. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. So Tennessee is one of the most biodiverse states in the entire country. We have more than 300 species of fish, 80 different types of mammals, 150 different species of reptiles and amphibians, and over 340 birds. I actually chose the raccoon for my activity today because it is Tennessee's state animal. It was actually determined the state animal back in 1971. So I thought that would be very fitting for our craft today. When you're going over it with the marker, it's a good idea to have something underneath it. Like I have a plastic sheet underneath mine, a tablecloth, or another piece of paper or cardboard will work well. And that's just so it doesn't bleed onto whatever surface you're doing your craft on. Okay, I've got the outline really good. So now I'm going to start cutting out pictures to glue on my raccoon. So for this activity, we're going to choose pictures out of our magazines that represent the habitat that our native Tennessee animal would live in. So a habitat is a place where an animal or an organism or even a plant lives. And the habitat needs to be able to provide that animal with food and shelter. So a raccoon's habitat is a forest. So I'm going to find different pictures of forests. This one is actually in the fall. You can see a few of the fall leaves on there. And glue them to my raccoon. Now raccoons can live in both coniferous and deciduous forests. And we have both here in Tennessee. Coniferous forests keep their leaves all year long, so they stay green. Deciduous actually lose their leaves, so they look more like this picture that I'm cutting out right now in the winter and fall. Tennessee has many different types of habitats. We have rivers and lakes, mountains, grasslands, So after you've decided on your animal from the link provided in this post, If you're unsure of where its habitat is, the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency, or the TWRA, has a great resource on their page, on their webpage, that lists several different native Tennessee animals, along with a link to a bunch of different information about those animals. For example, when I visited and I clicked on a raccoon, it gave me several different details: a description of the animal, its habitat, its diet, so what it eats, as well as a few fun facts about that animal. So if you're unsure about where to get started, that's a really good place to go. And I've included the link in this post as well. So if you can't find a bunch of good pictures in your magazines of their habitat, maybe you can find some pictures of some of the things that they eat. The website told me that raccoons like to eat berries and nuts, as well as fish, maybe some eggs out of a bird's nest, as well as insects. So that means that raccoons are omnivores. They eat both plants and animals. Your animal that you've chosen may be an herbivore, which means it only eats plants. Or you could have chosen, say, a coyote, for example, and find out that it's a carnivore and that it eats only meat. The TWRA's website is really cool in that it provides a fun fact. I thought the fact about raccoons was very interesting, and I did not know that raccoons can actually sleep for days or even weeks on end. Now, they're not true hibernators like a bear, but they can apparently sleep for very long periods of time. It also said that raccoons' tails are about half the length of their bodies, and that they have 4 to 7 stripes on their tails. So I'm going to be sure that my raccoon has stripes on its tail. Can you think of any other animals that would be native to Tennessee? Maybe some animals that you've seen on a hike at your local state park, or maybe if you've ever visited the Smoky Mountains, maybe seen a black bear. Black bears actually are native to Tennessee, although many Middle Tennesseans and West Tennesseans don't see them very frequently. We do have them in several areas in East Tennessee. Other native animals are cougars, bobcats. We have elk and deer, lots of deer. Fox and coyotes. We also have many smaller animals, such as squirrels and otters, beavers. Where do you think their habitats are? They all like to spend time in the water. So if you chose any of those animals, you'll be looking for streams, rivers, maybe waterfalls. Okay, so I'm about done gluing my raccoon up. So you'll probably have something similar like this on the front, just a conglomeration of pictures. But on the back, as you can see, my marker bled through and I can see the perfect outline of my raccoon. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. When you're done cutting this out, it makes a really great piece of art that you can frame or hang somewhere in your house or on your refrigerator. And I encourage you to do more than one so that you can learn about the several different animals that Tennessee has. And you can learn about where they live and maybe where you can encounter them. You can learn about if they're endangered or if they're hunted in Tennessee. I also encourage you to visit the TWRA's website after you finish this activity and learn a little bit about some of our local wildlife in Tennessee. A lot of people forget that we have so much wildlife and so many different species in Tennessee. We're really lucky to have such a broad variety of nature and flora and fauna that we can study. So it's really important to take advantage of that and learn about it while we can. So I've just about finished cutting out my raccoon. And there we go. You can see that I've done several different forest areas, both deciduous and coniferous, and he has stripes. I would be interested to see yours when you're finished. Please feel free to share it with us. I would love to see what creative habitats and styles and patterns you guys came up with. Thanks again for following along. I hope you enjoyed today's activity and learned a lot about our wildlife here in Tennessee. And hopefully you learned a little bit about some of the native habitats that we have here as well. Be sure to tune back in tomorrow at the same time for Earth Friendly Thursday. We hope to see you then.